feel like I'm giving Steve from Blue's Clues. Hello book besties, and welcome back to Shanoa's Chapters. Today we're going to talk about my top 10 books out of the 41 books that I read this year. How are you guys doing? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, let me know your favorite reads. I think it would be so fun to do a video where it's like a reading vlog type thing where I read your guys' favorites. Let me know how you guys feel about that. But grab your coffees or your waters. Today I have water. And let's get into it. So the first one we're going to talk about is one that I recently finished, and it was More Than Promises by Lauren Beeson. This book takes place in a cute little small town, and you follow Molly and Rowan. So Molly grew up in this town, and she took over her family's floral shop after her mom passed away. But then one day Rowan shows up, who is our grumpy billionaire after his grandfather passed away. And so he's taking over the estate, and his grandfather also left him a good chunk of money. But you know, there's some things that he has to do before he can get that money. And you know, just one of them happens to be he needs to find a wife. So as many people's favorite trope suddenly comes up, the whole fake engagement, marriage of convenience between these two. So cute, so sweet. I love and adore these two. Molly actually has this birthmark. It covers her face, and she's been made fun of, and she's been dating these crappy rich guys in the past. But then Rowan shows up and shows her that, you know, not all of them are that bad. It is a slow burn, but it has a lot of good chemistry and a lot of good banter. It just gave me, you know, the Gilmore Girls small town feeling, just with a billionaire. The second one is a male-female dark fantasy romance, and it is Devourer of Men by Nikki St. Croix. So in this book you follow Hook, Crocodile, and Wendy, but it's mostly Hook and Crocodile. Hook and Crocodile lost Wendy years ago. They're trying to find her. They did not start their journey together. They found each other again in a bar. They are enemies. But the tension between these two was so hot. Some of the things Crocodile said had me blushing at 2 o'clock in the morning. And as a slow reader, I have never finished a book in one day. This one did it. This one did it. First book. I mean, granted, it is like 200 and something pages, but the writing was just so addicting. And like I said, the tension, the chemistry between Crocodile and Hook, honestly, I would have been fine without Wendy. If I could just get a book with these two, I would be happy. Keep in mind, it is a dark fantasy romance, but I personally wouldn't say it's that dark. So I would, just in case, read the trigger warnings. The next book I'm going to talk about is Wild Love by Elsie Silver. Another Elsie Silver book that I absolutely love and adore and eat up like all her other books. This is a small town single dad. Once again, I will repeat myself. Small town single dad. Literally the most perfect two tropes in one book. And on top of that, you get Ford Grant and Rosie. I mean, what more would you want? I love these two. I adore them. The banter, the chemistry, everything that you expect out of an Elsie Silver book. I'm so excited for the series. I don't think I've ever read or heard of a series that is just all single dads. I did enjoy this twist on the single dad trope. So Rosie and Grant are childhood best friends, and Rosie's older brother also happens to be Ford Grant's best friend. Perfect. Literally the best setup. But so Ford Grant comes into town wanting to build a business, and Rosie kind of comes back home and is trying to figure out her life. And so she ends up working for Ford. So you also have that coworker, you know, type of thing, boss, coworker trope. You do get journal entries, so that was super fun getting to read Rosie's journals from when she was younger. And like I said, the new aspect of a single dad trope, so fun. I absolutely loved his daughter. I just love her writing. I think her writing is so easy to get into, so easy to follow, and you just instantly love all these book boyfriends. Like the Chestnut Spring series down here, love them, read them all, ate them all up. This is no different, and I feel like this entire series is not going to be any different either. Now we're going to get into some baseball with a baseball romance, and we are going to be talking about Catching Feelings by Maren Moore. As this was my first Maren Moore book, I will now on say that I love the way Maren Moore writes men. They are just something different, and they are addictive. The love stories that she writes. This one specifically, you have Vivian and Reese. So they had a one-night stand. It's not a spoiler. Vivian cannot stand Reese with a passion. She thinks that he is this rich, cocky, you know, athlete. And Reese is trying to prove himself that he's not that. So after that one night stand, Reese constantly cannot get her out of his head, but she's like, not today, sir. Unfortunately, something happens in Vivian's life where she has to find a new place to stay. Guess who happens to have a room? Reese. After multiple times of her telling him no, she finally agrees. This book is so cute. It does deal with triggering topics, so I would also check the trigger warning. I love and appreciate Vivian so much. I think she is so relatable as someone who always puts everybody else first and themselves last. I think many of you can relate as well. But Reese, the cinnamon roll he is. He also listens to Taylor Swift. Need I say more? I mean, what more could you want? What more could the book girlies want? A man that listens to Taylor Swift. That's all I'm gonna say. We're moving on from baseball to football. So we have Fighting Fate by Charlie Cotner. This is like childhood best friends to lovers. You are following Millie and Miles. Millie, she is now going to be a freshman in college, and Miles is a senior. Millie, you know, she is your typical ballerina, girly girl type person. And Miles, even though he's an athlete, he has these big aspirations for what he wants to do with his life afterward. Nobody really knows about them just because his family has certain expectations about him following football like the rest of his life after college. And they haven't really understood their feelings until they hit college. You know, when he's trying to help her out, help her move in, you know, help her around campus. But Millie's older brother is also Miles's best friend and his teammate. So that's a little extra spice, you know, not spice, a little extra drama. But something happens in Miles's life where he, after that moment, started pushing everybody away, and it starts being a choice versus fate type of trope. If you want to go in blind, I would also recommend, I would just mentally prepare and buy yourself some tissues. It's going to be a series, so if you want to read it, I would definitely read it. I think the second book comes out in October. I think it's actually on my birthday. Actually, I have some stickers. Okay, as promised, I do have stickers, but look, it's Millie and Miles. Cute, right? And then the actual Millie and Miles Super cute. Cuties. Let's go back on track. So this next one is a spicy one. So if you're not into spice, I would skip until the next book. It's For the Plot by Katie Van Brunt. So in this one, you follow Joey and Cam. They end up taking a trip to Greece separately. Joey goes there to fulfill her late father's wish, and Cam goes there to flee away from his family because they have these expectations that he's going to take over the family business, which he does not want to do. While they're there enjoying their vacation, both of them get betrayed. The audacity. They end up needing to find a room to stay because their flight is like leaving in a couple days and they have nowhere else to go. So they end up going into this hotel motel. I forgot what it's called. The problem for them, the problem for us is not a problem. They take up this one bed, they like stay in that room for a couple days, and then they end up flying back home. So then fast forward a couple years and they're back in Greece and they, you know, they see each other again. And, you know, they get to talking. And that's when the second chance starts in because something did happen to them the first time around. It is very, very spicy, like open door spice. If you're not into that, like I said before, I would maybe skip this one. I thought it was so fun because you do have a new aspect. So instead of good girl, it is good boy. Never heard of it. I've never read, I think, a book where it was like good boy. Like a female saying that to a man. This is gonna be a series, and the next book I'm so excited about because about her best friend who is bisexual. So I'm very, very, very excited. This next one is a book that felt like a nice warm hug. It is Out on a Limb by ℙ𝕝𝕚𝕟. In this book you follow Winnie or Winifred and Beau. Win has a small hand and Beau has an amputated leg. They both meet at Win's best friend's Halloween party and they end up being dressed as the same character, but they end up having a one-night stand at the party after they, you know, got to know each other a little bit more. And a couple months fly by and Win finds out that she is accidentally pregnant. I have heard that people that don't like the accidental pregnancy trope really do enjoy this book. And I believe it. I think the main difference is that unlike other accidental pregnancy tropes, this one, they don't get automatically married as soon as they find out, and they don't really date as soon as they find out for the sake of the baby. They kind of remain friends until, you know, they both start having feelings. Beau is an absolute sweetheart. I love and adore him. He is literally the most perfect, like, soon-to-be dad figure in a book that I've read. Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. In this book, you follow Jasmine and Josiah, who were previously married, but then you follow them present day as they co-parent their 2 children. Throughout this book, you do get to see what exactly happened and why they did get a divorce, and it does then show you complicated grief. Yes, complicated grief. It shows you that not everybody grieves the same, which is so true. Also shows them going to therapy and how that did help them out. Throughout this book, you really don't know if they are going to stay together or if they're just going to co-parent, which I thought was really beautiful, quite honestly. And then Yasmin does have an amazing friend group that I absolutely love and adore. And I can't wait to continue the series because I just know I'm gonna love it. Just the way Kennedy Ryan writes realistic, like, not problems. I mean, yeah, I would say the way that she writes realistic problems, but I was gonna say realistic people with realistic problems, because it is so nice, you know, to have a book where it's not just rainbows and sunshines. Like, they talk about these big, hard-hitting problems that many people deal with in everyday life. I would literally read anything and everything that she writes. The next book I already talked about in my mid-year wrap-up, and it was I'll Start by Candy Steiner. So we're moving back to football. In this book, you follow Madeline and Kyle. So they used to date when they were younger, and something happened and they stopped talking. So imagine, you know, her surprise when Madeline, our realtor girly, she is out here trying to show a house, and as soon as she opens the door to greet the new potential buyer, Kyle shows up. He sees her, they're both shocked, obviously. Kyle has so many questions because he also noticed that her last name changed. This is not a cheating trope, so don't worry. But there are other topics. One day they decide to catch up after she tries to just have that professional relationship and just have it stay that way. So the more he finds out about her and her life, he instantly wants to help her out. He thinks that the best way to do that is to fake dates to not only help her out, but also her son. This book literally had all my favorite tropes. It was executed perfectly. The more you read, like as each chapter went by, the more you were hooked because something new would always be happening. And this is a part of a series, but it is a series of an interconnected standalone. Kyle is he's a part of the NFL. He's like an NFL rookie or something. I read sports, I don't watch them. After that, we have a fun one that is based in England, and it is Oar Than Friends by ℚ𝕝𝕒𝕝. So you follow Kate, who is currently going to Cambridge on a scholarship to study medicine, and Arthur, who is going to Oxford to follow into his family's footsteps in like the political career. Both of them are rowing and like canoe. That one. They are rowing for each other's universities. When they first have their little meet cute, they don't know that they're rivals, but they do have this instant chemistry that was so sweet to see. You know, she tries her best to push him away, but with that chemistry and that connection, it just does not happen. Arthur is a sweetheart, another little golden retriever. He does something for her that was my absolute favorite thing to read about in a book, and it had to do with pie. It was the sweetest thing. So the last one is kind of a bonus one because I didn't know if I was gonna add it into this video, but I did love it. I just don't know what genre it would be specified as. But it is Interesting Facts About Space by Emily Austin. So in this book, you follow Enid as she online dates women. She is this quirky girl with a phobia who also loves to tell people random facts about space. I think it's more of like a coping comfort mechanism type thing, especially when she's on the phone call with her mom. She'll just kind of talk about random space facts. She does work in like the space industry type thing. She is also a true crime podcast girly, so she'll often talk about what happened in her podcast episodes and just like her favorite moments. And there is this quote in here that I find is so relatable to everybody that has, you know, listened to true crime and loves it. So this specific quote does say, "Nothing puts me at ease more than hearing someone calmly discuss homicide." And I feel like anyone that listens to true crime can say that's pretty realistic. I mean, we have our headphones on, or you're listening to it on your way home or to work, and they just talk about some of the most gruesome things you've probably ever heard. And you're just like, oh, la-di-di-da, nothing new, just casual. But she does have a phobia of bald men. So in this book, he tries to figure that out. And I think one of the most beautiful things that the author did was truly show what it's like to be human, and how those flaws, I guess you could say, are one of the most beautiful things about us and makes us different. You have mental health rep and dysfunctional family. And there you have it. Those are my 10 favorite books of this year so far. Besties, thank you so much for watching and listening to me go on and on about my favorite books. I can't wait to hear about yours in the comments down below. Also, make sure to check out my Instagram that is in the description. From starting today up until Friday, every day I will be posting 2 books that you guys can vote to see what's going to be on my TBR. So it is truly up to you guys. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more bookish content. I love you guys and happy reading!